Well, hey y'all, today we are going to make a Copycat Popeyes red beans and rice. And this is one of my very favorite ways to have red beans and rice. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. What I have done, I'll include the real recipe because I always got to do my own thing. I'll include the real recipe, and they did call for a 30-ounce can of red beans. But I cooked a pound of red beans in my Instant Pot. And the way I did that is I added, they said 8 to 10 cups of liquid. And so I split it and said 9. And I split the chicken broth that we had made the other day. I used half chicken broth and half water. I would have used more chicken broth, but I used it all up. And then I took about a handful of these kielbasa that I had chopped up into bite-sized pieces. But this is a gluten-free product. And it is a private collection Andouille smoked sausage, and it's very spicy. And so, therefore, I'm not going to add the white pepper until after I taste it. So let me just put this out of my way. So I have all these beans. I put them in I rinsed them, I looked them, I put them in my Instant Pot. I covered them with the water and broth and a handful of the kielbasa beans, and then I set it to pressurize, and I shut the little thingy on the top, and I let it cook for about 45 minutes. I let it sit there and naturally release. I did not touch that little floppy thing for about 30 minutes, and then I let the steam out, because if you have something that has a lot of fluid in it, you really need to be careful when you let that thing out too soon. It just it's kind of sputters and spits and makes a mess. So I pulled out of my beans some of them, probably a cup or so, and I just smashed them because that'll give it some creaminess. And you can smash it with whatever article of torture you want. I use my grandma's pastry thingamajig, or you could use the thing that gets the drawer stuck. Y'all need one of these, just no other reason, so you can't get your drawer open in there. So I've got this in my beans. I'm gonna add this entire package of the kielbasa. Now this makes a huge meal, especially the way that I'm not following the non-legal binding document that some people call a recipe. But I have plans for this. I'm going to vacuum seal it. I'm going to turn this up to about a 4. I'm going to vacuum seal it in a serving size portions along with this beautiful basmati brown rice that we're cooking over here. And then we'll do that together when we get the vacuum sealer out. Okie dokie. And I'm going to add about 4 tablespoons of butter. And I'm using salted butter. There we go. And it calls for a half a teaspoon of garlic, but I always add more. So I'm going to add about a whole teaspoon of garlic powder. And then I'm going to add, costs about a 1/4 of a teaspoon of paprika, and I'm going to use smoked paprika. And speaking of smoked paprika, y'all, I got home from the store the other day with all my goodies to make this, because it's been cold as a well digger's honey bow out there. I get all my groceries put up. I go sit down in my chair with a cup of decaf coffee. I turn on my Facebook, and you know who I see first? Amy from Amy's Louisiana Kitchen, and you know what she's making? Most beautiful pot of red beans and rice the traditional way in the crock pot. And if you want to watch that video, I recommend it highly. It's so good, and everything she does is good. And I saw that, and so I got that phone out and I was texting her, and I said, Amy girl, you're not gonna believe this. And we laughed, and we talked about how we all cycle through. In the summer we eat certain things in the South, in the winter we eat certain things in the South. It's that way everywhere. And so it's just really, it's really funny, and I love to watch whenever my fellow cooking friends will put something out there, and I think, I'd do it a little bit different. I think I like their way. And one of my dear friends, and I'm not going to call her out, yes I am, Kathy's Southern Kitchen. 2 different times I made a cake recipe, and she made a pie recipe. We did not know it. We did not talk about it. It was not anything at all that was pre-planned. And I said, hey, look what I made. And she said, girl, Did you do that? And I said, yes. Turn that around on the pie. And so, y'all, we don't copy each other. We just all know what's good and we know what we like in a certain time of year. But I do recommend 80s red beans and rice. It looked delicious, y'all. Okie dokie. I think that garlic powder has had enough time to become one with its friends, and I saved out some of the juice whenever I cooked these beans to see if it was needed to be loosened up, and I think it looks pretty good. So let's just get us a little taste of this juice and we'll see what kind of flavors we need. Let's just see here. More garlic. Needs more garlic. I'm gonna put another teaspoon in there. Okie dokie, y'all. I'm gonna put the lid on this and I'm gonna let this sit here and do its thing while my brown rice is doing its thing over here. And I'm using Cache River Valley rice, which is a Northeast Arkansas rice. And when I did the video talking about how to do rice and everything, I talked about them and some of my family history going back generations being rice farmers in Arkansas and rice cooks in Arkansas. So I'll see y'all back in a little while when this is ready to eat them up yum yum. So y'all don't go nowhere. It is time to eat them up yum yum. Now I did a taste test after all the spices and everything had done their thing in here, and it needed just a smidge salt, so I used some Redmond's real salt, about a teaspoon of it. Put that in there, and it's been simmering. Our rice is finished, and if you missed this rice recipe, it should be right before this Popeyes Copycat red beans and rice recipe. And I will attach, after the red beans and rice recipe, I'll also attach the one where I'm riding the combine with my son and the tractor with my husband. So we're just going to put some of this rice right on top. There we go. As much or as little of everything as you want. Now, look at that. That is going to be so good. That's going to warm up my old bones. So let's just get us a little taste of this. Y'all. Mercy. The addition of the butter to the beans makes it have more of a velvety feel to it. And it's so good and so hearty. And we will do a video on how I'm going to freeze the extra because the two of us are not going to be able to eat all of this, obviously. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and I'll talk about Arkansas rice and how wonderful I think it is. And I think you should think it's wonderful too. I'll see y'all next time. And y'all go have a rice day.